Hi there, this is Dr. Nirmala from the Wellberry. Over the past few months, we have been talking about insulin resistance and the challenges it poses to a person's body. In my very first video, I have shared my own wellness journey and what it takes in order to overcome diabetes, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and also obesity. We have discussed how essential it is to bring about changes in the kind of foods that we eat in order to overcome insulin resistance. In today's video, we are going to talk about what are the diagnostic tests that need to be done in order to find out if a person has insulin resistance. As always, let me remind you that any dietary or lifestyle changes must be taken after consulting with a nutrition specialist or else with your physician. Now, why are we talking so much about insulin resistance? Is it because I had my problems with it? No. It's because insulin resistance is responsible for many of the chronic illnesses that we see today, such as diabetes, obesity, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, certain autoimmune disorders, migraines, and even neurological problems such as Parkinson's disease and Alzheimer's. And people are running from pillar to post and having to spend a lot of money in order to overcome these health challenges. In the description area below, I have given the links to videos that I have done on insulin resistance, on obesity and diabetes, and I would encourage you to watch them if you haven't. Now, you may be thinking that there are medicines available for diabetes, for cholesterol, and high blood pressure. So, what's all the fuss about? What we need to remember is that these medicines are only controlling the problem. They are not actually addressing the removal of the cause of the health issues. For example, if a person has diabetes, and here I'm referring to type 2 diabetes and not type 1 diabetes or juvenile diabetes that's seen in children and young adults. In type 2 diabetes, if the person needs to bring it under control only with medication, then these medicines have to be taken lifelong. And most of us know that with time, the number of medicines that a person needs to take will also increase. At times, the doctors also have to prescribe insulin injections if the sugar has to come under control. And by any chance, if these medicines are stopped without medical supervision, then the problem comes right back. Secondly, in countries where people have to pay out of pocket for their medication, the cost of medicines keeps going up. This would have been alright if with just medication we could prevent the progression of diseases such as diabetes or high cholesterol, but most often this is not the case. Diabetes is the leading cause for heart disease, stroke, kidney related problems. Diabetes is also associated with certain cancers. What's more is that India today has become the diabetic capital of the world. Insulin resistance is also responsible for obesity. Have you ever wondered why two people can eat the same kind of food, be it junk food or sweets, and out of these two, one tends to put on weight and the other doesn't? In all probability, the person who's putting on weight has insulin resistance. Obesity is growing worldwide. And even in India, today the number of obese people has been increasing. What's even more alarming is the number of children worldwide who are becoming obese. In the description area below, I have given links to articles related to obesity and the health challenges that it poses. Just like diabetes, obesity is also linked with heart disease, non-alcoholic fatty liver, stroke, osteoarthritis, which means painful and inflamed joints. The first step to solving a health-related problem is to actually find out whether a person has that health issue or no. In order to find out if a person has insulin resistance, the best thing to do is a blood test. What are the tests that can be done to know if a person has insulin resistance? One of the most common tests done is the HbA1c. This looks at the 3-month average sugar reading of the person. If the HbA1c is between 5.6 and 6.4, it means that the person is prone to being diabetic. This stage is called pre-diabetes. And if the HbA1c is above 6.5, it means that the person is already diabetic. And like I had mentioned earlier, type 2 diabetes is clearly a sign of insulin resistance. Another very commonly done test is the fasting blood sugar. A normal fasting blood sugar should be less than 100. If the sugar levels are between 100 and 125, it means that the person is pre-diabetic, which means that the person is insulin resistant. And sugar levels above 125 indicate diabetes in the person. Very often people come to me saying that their blood sugar is normal. Their fasting blood sugar or their HbA1c is all within normal limits. And yet, they have high cholesterol, high blood pressure. They may be continuing to put on weight despite all their best efforts. Why is this happening? Like I said, there could be an issue with insulin resistance. But if the fasting blood sugar is normal and the HbA1c is normal, then what should we do? This is where a HOMA IR test comes into play. The HOMA IR is a simple calculation that's done using the blood sugar and the insulin levels, which are measured at the same time. With the help of the HOMA IR value, we are able to assess whether the insulin is being utilized properly by the body. There are many HOMA IR calculators available online, and I will try to show you how to use one of them towards the end of this video. Even without these calculators, HOMA IR is a very simple formula. The blood sugar in milligrams per deciliter is multiplied by the insulin level, which is in micro international units per liter, and this value is divided by 405. For example, if a person's blood sugar is 100 milligrams per deciliter and their blood insulin levels is around 20 micro international units, then using this formula, we multiply 100 by 20, which gives us 2000, and then we divide 2000 by 405. This gives us a value of 4.9, and this person's HOMA IR value is 4.9. Now, how do we interpret this HOMA IR value? If the calculated value is between 1 and 1.5, then the person does not have insulin resistance. Values that are between 1.5 and 1.9 indicate early insulin resistance, and values above 2 clearly indicate that the person has insulin resistance. Now let's see how we can derive the HOMA IR value using an online calculator. So first we go to Google, and in the search bar we type HOMA IR calculator. This is the one I tend to use sometimes. Now as you can see, it asks you for the insulin value. Let's say the person's insulin reading is 20. In the next line, they ask you for the blood glucose or the sugar value. Now in countries like the US, they look at sugar in millimoles. We in India look at it in milligrams per deciliter. So just click here and it changes automatically. Now enter the blood sugar value. Let's say it is 100. As you can see, it's giving you a value of 4.9. Now clearly a person who has a value of 4.9 HOMA IR, they are insulin resistant. Now let's try another calculation. Suppose the insulin, okay, first let me clear this. Suppose the insulin value was 10 and the blood sugar was 105. It's giving you a value of 2.6. Once again, a person with a value of 2.6 is insulin resistant. The good news is that insulin resistance, if addressed properly, can be reversed. I do hope that through this video, I have been able to explain to you how we need to test for insulin resistance. Like I said, insulin resistance is reversible with the right kind of food and changes in lifestyle. So if you or any of your loved ones have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, obesity which is not responding to your diet and exercise efforts, any autoimmune disorder, and unexplained inflammation and pain in the body, then do consider doing your fasting blood sugar and fasting insulin and getting your HOMA IR value calculated. If this video has been helpful, then do click that like and subscribe button so that more people will have access to this information. Until next time, this is Dr. Nirmala signing out. And remember, wellness begins with your plate.